An average worker is productive only 2 hours and 53 minutes each day. Social media and news websites are shown to be the main cause of low productivity. But there are 5 other perfectly normal things that are making you unproductive too. So let's go over those in this video. My name is Jelena and I'm a VP of Product Management in a cool startup during the work week, and on weekends I share my passions for product management, personal productivity and remote work on this channel. If this is something that you're interested in, please consider subscribing. So my mind was blown when I found out this information that an average worker is productive 2 hours and 53 minutes. And basically there was a study in the UK where they surveyed almost 2,000 office workers about their productivity during the workday. And the findings basically indicate that an average worker in the UK is actually productive only these 2 hours and 53 minutes. It turns out that most people spend around 44 minutes a day checking social media and then a bit over an hour reading news websites. Other activities that people do include talking to colleagues, making coffee or tea since in the UK, smoking, snacking, texting, and the list goes on. And quite honestly, I don't think this list would look any different if we were to analyze different countries. So this really got me thinking about 5 other activities that we do or don't do at work that end up eating into our productive time. So let's jump to activity number 1. Number 1, constantly checking Slack. So I work in a remote company, so Slack is actually our office, and I never thought to question how I use Slack and how it actually affects my day until I ran into a post on Instagram from a productivity guru, Rich Webster, and he teaches people how to work less, and you should definitely check his profile out. I'll link it in the description box below. But anyway, in one of his posts, he shared that Slack's fundamental design is broken. And the reason for that is that there's constant interruptions in form of sound, push notifications, badges, and constant activity in the channels. So this is kind of putting us in this perpetual state of FOMO, where we feel like we need to check what's going on all the time, or we are nudged by all these mechanisms such as notifications to check in with Slack every few minutes. The main issue with this is that on average, people at work are interrupted every 11 minutes. And if you're interrupted every 11 minutes, you won't be able to do the deep work because you're either going to be losing focus or trying to regain it, which can take honestly up to 15 minutes according to some studies. So in order to manage this, it's best to remove all Slack notifications, remove application badges, and mute channels that are not essential for you. And if you want to take this a step further, schedule time in your calendar to read your messages and answer them instead of just checking them sporadically throughout your day every few minutes. I started doing this a while ago, and it has really helped me preserve my focus. Number 2, having meetings all over your day. I remember when I first became a product manager, I suddenly found myself having a ton of meetings, and this wasn't the case before in my career. Some meetings were internal and some were external. What I used to do is I'd have my calendar open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. where anyone could set up a call with me. And the result of this was that I had one call at 9, another one at 10:30, and then again at 3:30 or at 1 or like whenever. It was just all over the place. The meetings were all over my calendar and all over my day. I was either preparing for a meeting or recovering from a meeting. And I had no time to do my focus work because I was constantly interrupted or I was drained from having all these Zoom calls. The only way to manage this is to control when the meetings can happen. Some people pick a single day to do all their meetings in. Honestly, that's too much for me. I just prefer to do a moderate number of meetings every day. But in the afternoon only. These days I allow to have meetings scheduled from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So basically in the afternoon, because I'm most productive in the morning. So I want to protect this time and leave the afternoon for the meetings when I'm not super focused. And it's actually ideal to shake things up a little bit with some Zoom calls. So what you can do is consider batching your meetings during one part of the day instead of having them all over the place. So that's a really cool tip, and I'm a huge fan of kind of protecting my focus time this way. Number 3, not eating the frog. I used to wait to have time to do the important tasks that were on my to-do list. And of course, I never found the time to get those done. Then I discovered Eat the Frog book. So in the book, the author Brian Tracy recommends doing the most important task of the day first thing in the morning. And this task is basically the frog, and he recommends eating it or getting it done the first thing in the morning. So now, instead of waiting to have time, I plan for my deep work and for my frog. So the most productive time for me is the morning. That's when I'm most focused and have the most energy. So I block that part of the day and schedule the deep work and the hard work. That's when I work on my most important task of the day. So instead of waiting to have time for your most important tasks, I recommend you plan for your frog every day to ensure you really get it done. Number 4, not having a calendar. So I'm a huge believer in calendar planning for a few years now, and the main reason for this is that I used to be all over the place, that I didn't have time to work out, read, or learn new skills. There were so many things I wanted to do, but I really never had the time. Instead, I would just come to work and put out fires all day long, and my personal life took a back seat. I had a set to-do list that was not actionable or scheduled. I would just wake up in the morning and then figure out what I should do or could do that day. This process was a complete waste of time because it would take me forever to figure out what needed to be done. And by the time it happened, I had a dozen emergencies that I had to take care of. The emergencies would eat all my time, and by the time it was all over, I was exhausted. So instead, I plan my week and my calendar religiously. I'm obsessed with it. And the method I use is time blocking. So each time block represents a specific priority in my personal life or work. And I share my whole process in one of my previous videos, which I'll link in the description box below. But what I invite you to examine, if you don't have your week planned out ahead of time, is how much time you're wasting thinking about what needs to be done and reacting to fires that are happening around you. And honestly, you have these fires because you're not planning. Number 5, doing busy work. Busy work is anything that takes up a ton of time but provides zero value. When you do busy work, it might feel like you're getting a lot done, but when you'll carefully examine your results, you'll see that you haven't really made an impact. I recognized that I was doing busy work when I caught myself checking email every 10 minutes. I felt productive sorting through my mailbox, but I definitely didn't have to do it so often. It was enough to check my email twice a day. That's what I do now, and I schedule time in my calendar for this. Attending status meeting is another way I was keeping myself busy. I'd attend meetings that were not critical for me. I was not even presenting in these meetings. I was just a listener. And this drained my energy. These days, I don't attend meetings that could be an email, and I don't attend status meeting unless I'm the person reporting. So examine the types of work you do during your day that are not aligned with your goals and that are making you feel like you're doing something instead of working on the right things. So increasing productivity at work from those 2 hours and 53 minutes, in my opinion, is not so that we can slave away at our jobs, but increasing productivity for me is about getting efficient with our time so that we can transition to a shorter workday or work week. Because how can we transition to a 6-hour workday or 4-day work week unless we know how to manage our time? Let me know if you have any ideas. So here's another video for me that you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.